Hello, gorgeous Capricorn, and welcome to September 2019, the month of the autumnal equinox. Up here in the northern hemisphere, we will be heading into the fall months. In the southern, we're heading into the spring. And the last time we had a check-in with the solar stations was in June. We had our solstice. We were preparing for Cancer season, for those huge eclipses in your sign and in your opposing sign of Cancer. And we're checking in again here in September. It was a very powerful June, July, and August. A lot of pieces were reshuffled. A lot of ideas and concepts were reinvented within our own sense of self, our own sense of identity. Capricorn, you guys are here in September in a time of Virgo season, a fellow earth sign, and I'm digging this September. It has a little bit of mystery to it. However, it also has a simplicity to it. We are not dealing with a lot of the upheaval that was coming in June, July, and August. This is a little bit more of a consolidating month. That's the way that I would describe September, a consolidating month to really check in. The autumnal equinox is a point of balance. It's very tied to harvests, last harvests. It's tied to preparing for another shift into another type and form of existence, from one big extreme of season to another. It's a point of balance. It's a point of checking in. So I'm going to start shuffling. We're going to talk through your note. We're going to talk through what we have going on here. So right before September starts, we have a new moon in Virgo on August 30th, so your fellow earth sign. We have a full moon in Pisces on the 14th in your third house, your third house of communication, that full moon. What do you want to use your throat chakra for? What do you have to express? What do you have to share in the world? Venus and Mercury are going to have a nice little conjunction on that full moon as well. So we'll be having a lot of vocalizations of how we love, how we connect, how we share of our visions. And for you, especially if you're Capricorn rising, Libra represents a lot of 10th house energy, a lot of your destiny in the world. Oh my gosh, Justice was on the table, a couple cards came out, and then Five of Swords. All right, Cappies. So we have some self-trust going on here. We have some decision-making going on as well. Saturn's also going direct right after that full moon in your sign. So we've had a time to check in with our karma. That's how it's often known. But the way that we think about that is how we've rebalanced things, how we've checked in with things, right? And so Saturn direct on the 18th is a nice return to forward motion. We are slowly getting back into forward motion after a lot of retrograde action this summer. And then Libra season begins, and we start to get into your 10th house. So we move from your visionary house of Virgo into your 10th house of destiny in the world, of your reputation in the world, and what you want that to look like. And we also have a new moon on September 28th that is in that 10th house Libran sign. And there's a lot of energy lighting that up for you. A lot of energy in Libra the second half of the month. So the note that I have for you guys for this month, the first thing that came to mind when I thought of Capricorns in September was this is a big destiny month. This is something coming into full view, and there being choices that need to be made. When I think of justice, I think choices too, right? Discerning and making choices, parsing through what's working, parsing through what's not, committing to what is working, making plans based on what is working, what does feel right in your bones. And September is the last month that we have Pluto retrograde as well. He will be going direct in October. 3 cards wanted to come out. Knight of Wands, the World, and the High Priestess. We'll pull a few more cards and let's talk through these. This is a month of building connections. King of Swords. There's that discernment again. There's that decision making, wielding that sword. with clarity, with truth, with integrity to yourself and to your path. The Fool. You see what I'm saying here? With this energy, there's this feeling of you choosing and confirming something for yourself this month. Ace of Cups. Oh my gosh, I love it. You know, you guys, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I'm a Sag rising officially. But the way my house placements play out, Capricorn comprises a huge part of my first house, including the fact that I have Neptune in my first house. And so Capricorn, even though officially it's not my rising sign, everything that I talk through with you guys often affects me because my house placements are very similar to other Capricorn risings. And so it's really interesting to connect in with your energy because I am quite tied to it. More tied to it than I think I realized for several years before this. But and there has been this really intense opening up, this really intense building of experience. And like I said, as soon as I checked in with Cappy Energy this month, it was like, this is a destiny month, which I think is surprising because, like I said, the astrology isn't, it's not shaking things up. We're not in eclipse season anymore. The outer planet retrogrades are relatively mellow. They're softer. There's still a couple of those going on. There's, you know, Virgo and Libra season tend to be times looking for harmony, looking for balance, looking for order in the world. And so these energies want harmony, want beauty, want peace. So, you know, you don't always think of these as like the most turbulent destiny building times, right? But in your case, that was the first thought that came to mind, is that this is a time to take the myths you want to believe in about your destiny moving forward and put them into action and start taking those actions that really align with who you are, how you feel about yourself, and how you feel about your destiny in the world. And when I look at these cards, I get goosebumps. I get goosebumps. And I'm not exaggerating here when I say that whatsoever. This is beautiful energy. In fact, I was so excited to talk with you guys today that I couldn't wait to film yours. I was so excited. You were one of the first people that I wanted to talk with. Okay, so let's start the month off, because here's the thing. You may feel a little sensitive at the beginning of the month because you realize, you can feel that you're having to choose and discern and to make these choices. You know, you may feel a little nervous because you can feel that you are wielding this justice energy. You can feel that, you know, justice is about getting answers and clarity. Justice is about balance and harmony. You know, she's very tied to Libran energy, your relationships. But when justice is getting wielded, we also have to think about what we're clicking into. And what we're clicking into here for you all is, it's kind of like a confirmation hearing. That's the way that I would say that, you know, September is going to feel like one big confirmation hearing. Now that can be on a more energetic level, internal level. It can also be on a real world, practical choice making level of where you're going to live, who you're going to commit to, what projects you're going to commit to. And it can be scary. Not because you guys aren't good at committing and following through, because you absolutely are, but because you know this is big. And you know that in the things you really know you want, there's a vulnerability. Because if you say you want them, are you jinxing yourself? If you say you really want to believe in this unfolding that you want to have happen, does it mean that that's going to disappear as soon as you open that up? There's a vulnerability in really owning our decisions, right? And that's where that Five of Swords is coming in. You may feel a little scared to say yes to all this stuff, to have that clarity, because it makes you worry that maybe you're missing a step. Maybe you're not doing it in the right order. Maybe you're going to mess something up and it's not going to go the way that you feel you want to do it in the best way possible. Maybe, you know, once you say yes to the thing, it's going to fall away. But everything else in this reading, I will tell you right now, very clearly shows me that yes, this is a time of bold action, a time of bold clarity, and a time of like almost meeting your inner self, meeting your spirit guides, however you like to think of your connection to divine, however that comes through for you. You know, sitting down and having a council session where you are asked the confirmation hearing questions. Are you wanting to do this? Are you ready to sign up and say yes to this? And you having that choice to say yes. That's a lot of what the energy is. And there's this huge infusion of new beginnings. Huge infusion of new beginnings. And like, kind of that feeling of being at the top of the roller coaster and you're on that ride, you're strapped in and it's exciting and you want to go down that hill and you know you are going to, but there's also that feeling of adrenaline and butterflies. That's kind of the energy I get with you guys. I'm definitely with the next couple of cards, right? The Knight of Wands is a risk taker, right? So, you know, maybe you have a fire sign pumping everything up in your life, I don't know. But the Knight of Wands is really important in the sense that he comes through light and fires. Yes, he can have a bad reputation for flitting in and out, but however, I think the way that the Knight of Wands is working for you all is that this is kind of the essence, the spirit and the essence of your yeses this month, which is to just dive in. Not to analyze anymore, right? A lot of the decisions you're making in September, these are things you've been analyzing probably for 3 or 4 months. These are things that you've been thinking about, questioning, definitely during the eclipses, you know, and then you were getting clarity as August rolled through. You know, the Knight of Wands is here to just say, let's go. You know, action-based energy. Wands energy is very action-based, so it's not about sitting and thinking, it's about doing. And for you, that's tied to the world. You're in a portal energy here. In fact, you know, let's just take a look at the fact that you have the World, the High Priestess, the King of Swords, followed by the Fool and the Ace of Cups. You can kind of see how you're in an initiation ceremony. You know, if you look at these 5 cards in order, this is an initiation ceremony to your new timeline. And I don't really like to use the word timeline. You know, everybody's like, oh, you're jumping timelines, da-da-da. I do enjoy the frequency conversations. We're always playing with our frequency. We're always modulating. We're always feeling through it. We're constantly creating energetically. All the time, 100% of the time, we are energetically creating. But I will say that there's this initiation phase going on for you. And it is quite big. The World always brings to mind for me doorways, portals. You know, it's ceremonial on the largest level you can have. You know, final major arcana card. This is ceremonial. It is putting on the garb, you know, putting on the graduation robe, putting on the cords. It is making peace with what has been. And it is also taking a strong stand on what will be next. And, you know, this isn't just wishy-washy. For a lot of you, this was going to be very real-world stuff. This isn't just going to be you sitting in your house in the evening and saying, yeah, I intend. This is stuff that is coming to fruition from probably months to even years of you thinking about this, connecting with this, listening into this. You know, this is something that is right for you on a soul level. I mean, the High Priestess is also your initiator. Right? She's kind of the master of ceremonies here with the World. She is also a gateway. She sits between the 2 pillars in Solomon's temple. Her symbolism is really fun. If you're curious, you can look into her. But she's also in a doorway. These are doorway energies. You are being initiated. These are initiating rites. And your initiation has very much to do with saying yes to things, to committing to things, and showing your hand in those places that you need to show your hand and have those conversations and take the leap of faith. A lot of the things you're going to be saying yes to, a lot of the things you're going to be committing into and locking into are going to be things that maybe, you know, the action will be happening in October or January, you know, but you're going to start making those plans. You're going to start buying those plane tickets or signing those papers or having those conversations in September. And you will really be feeling that sense that you are stepping through. that there's no looking back. You can't hold on to whatever that was. Some people, some connections, some projects may fade away into the background because they just can't come. They just really can't come with you. But that's an intuitive thing, and the High Priestess being your initiator into the world, into the new world that you're going into, is very significant in the sense that this is stuff you can trust into on an intuitive gut level, but also on the rational. I mean, you got the Justice card first, Paul, and then you got the King of Swords. And these two are deeply aligned. They're both tied to Libran energy. They're both tied to wielding a sword of good judgment on scenarios in our lives, right? They are here for balance and for harmony. And they're also decisive. They wield their sword of truth in decisive ways that allow them to move forward. They use their voice as well to express what they want to those external to them so that people can reciprocate and come. And that's one thing I will say, Cappies, is that, you know, there is big destiny energy for you. There is big creative, juicy, molten energy for you working with you 100% this month. But it's only going to happen if you're willing to have the conversations, be open to taking that risk, and be soft and available to it, right? But you are having that initiation. So by the time we hit into Libran season, and by the time we're getting close to the end of September, there is this feeling for Capricorns of go. Beginners all over again. You know, the first 3 weeks of this month while we're in Virgo season, you'll be kind of mulling it over, and you'll be having the conversations. Around Libran season, though, there's that sense of movement, going and doing the thing, being the beginner at the thing that you want. This is new beginnings in relationships. For a lot of you, this is going to be having a lot to do with big new beginnings in relationships, big new beginnings with those you love, big new surges of energy when it comes to how you give of your heart and your energy. And this is energy that requires and demands a bravery on the vulnerability front that is unparalleled, quite honestly. And this is energy that also takes a lot of energy. Be aware that, you know, in stepping through a portal and stepping into some new energetic phases, that takes a lot of energy. Our brains take a ton of energy, just literally, first of all. So if you're incorporating a ton of energy, or a ton of new information and learning a ton of new stuff, and you're constantly deciphering what you need to parse through, that's going to make you tired. But also energetically, frequency shifts are also extremely exhausting, and opening up and being vulnerable are also really tiring. So if you're feeling tired or even overwhelmed, it's kind of like when you go into a language immersion program, or you're visiting a country where you don't speak the language. You will have this version of tired that only comes about when you are putting that much information through your system. You know, it's a good tired because it feels like you've been doing something all day, but it is also overwhelming at times, and I think that's something to just keep in mind. I'm going to pull one final card from my Cosmic Tarot to top off our conversation here. I'm really excited. Cappies, this month is going to be so interesting for you. This month is one of those months where I would say that it's going to start one way and it's going to end a very different way. Well, not different. It's going to end with a lot more powerful implications than I think you're going to think is going to be the case. Oh, Ten of Swords. Okay, this is a terrifying card, and I don't want you guys to get freaked out. I always think if you have seen the show Game of Thrones, this guy looks like Varys. And yeah, Ten of Swords in this deck. This is so not comforting. I'm sorry, you guys. Ten of Swords is fear, right? And it's also a closeout. It's also a personal death of something that no longer serves. It's when we torture ourselves in our minds. And I want you to remember that you may feel really scared because this is big stuff. Like I said, initiation rites are intense because you're saying yes to a lot of times long-term commitments, long-term life-changing projects, long-term life-changing lifestyles. And there's a part of you that's like, oh gosh, it's not just about saying yes today. It's about like saying yes for a lot of future selves. We can get really in our minds about pulling back, right? And being scared that if we shed that old skin and we move into this next phase, that it's not going to be okay, but it is. That fear is self-protective. It's ingrained in our DNA and passed down for generations often. It's also stuff we've learned in other points in our lives, right? But it doesn't apply here because what you have on your side here is your bigger inner being conversation and what's really been meant for you. Once again, the things you're saying yes to, these aren't necessarily shocks. These are things you've been preparing for months, probably since Saturn entered your sign. You know, and Saturn going direct this month in your sign, once again, is this big pull. You know, Saturn's starting to give you his final gifts with his transit through your sign. You know, he's starting to get prepared to head toward Aquarius and for there to be a shift. You still have some time with Saturn because he will retrograde back to you and whatnot, but you know, once Saturn hits this point in his transit through a sign, he's starting to deliver his final gifts to you. And this is part of what is going on here. Also, we are in equinox season, and I wanted to give you guys a few affirmations to check in as we shift into Libra season on September 23rd. We shift into that equinox fall or spring energy. The light is changing. We are balancing and harmonizing out into our next versions of self. Here are your equinox affirmations. I am open to transformation. The choices I make reflect my inner voice. I choose to walk my path with confidence and clarity. I love it. I'm so excited for you guys. I think September is going to be absolutely magical. And by the way, I just want to show you the bottom of both of the decks that I have here because that Ten of Swords is not my favorite image to leave you guys with. We have Two of Wands, another doorway of manifestation, and Three of Pentacles. Building, right? And you guys are definitely on a path of destiny right now. And I don't like to use that word normally, but this is something that's been building for a while. So in your case, it really applies. You can find me on Instagram at SarahVerba. I would love to see you over there. You can also find me on my website, SARAHTAROT.com, and you can also email me. I'm still figuring out my fall world. The last few months of this year because I'm going to be moving around, so I haven't opened up my calendar yet. But if you want to be on the list so that I can notify you so that you can sign up for a session with me, just email me and ask me how to get on that list, and I will get you all set up with the information because I would love to work with you Cappies. We can even set up some birthday readings for you guys nice and early so that we're ready for the new year. So I'll leave all of that info in the description box. As usual, I'm wearing PinkLune's gorgeous jewelry. She's working mostly on crowns at the moment, but you know, you keep an eye on her store. You never know what she's going to have up her sleeve. I'll leave her info in the description box. I love you guys so much. I will see you so soon for more moon magics, for more readings, and I hope this month of destiny just gives you everything you have been desiring. Sending you so much love.